Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May the 17th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. I'm actually recording this a little bit earlier than I usually do because I took a personal day. This was actually like a planned thing, so that's nice. And I kind of realized I'm like, man, I'm really taking off a lot of time this month, and I just figured like, why not? I've had it. I've been working pretty hard. I generally take about maybe like one day off a month, but I was like, you know what? Let's just kind of do a little bit of 3 days off in the month and enjoy that. Take some time to breathe, relax, do things a little easier so I don't have to sweat this or that. So yeah, it's been nice. It's been good. Let's see. Food corner. Last night was Domino's. I had pepperoni pizza with a barbecue sauce base and provolone cheese, and then I had a sausage pizza with marinara sauce as the base, and what was it? It was another cheese, Parmesan. It was shredded Parmesan. So yeah, it was good. Both good. Didn't disappoint. Let's see. There's really nothing else to really report on the personal news corner. We're chilling. We're vibing. Feel like I don't know. What I don't have the temperature up. It's got the stocks up right now. I don't know the temperature right now. It looks cloudy out, or at least it feels cloudy. Like I feel like the sun's not really peaking right now. But who knows? Maybe that changes. Hopefully, I'll maybe take a walk or something if it's not raining or anything. So yeah. But yeah. Enough of the me shit. Let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. Talk about some happenings. Mm. All right. Our first story comes from CNN. Backlash over NFL player Harrison Butker's commencement speech has reached a new level. The NFL is distancing itself from controversial comments by Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker during a recent commencement address. In addition to calling Pride Month a deadly sin and bemoaning diversity and equality initiatives, Butker set off waves of criticism when he suggested that women find more fulfillment through getting married and having children than by pursuing careers, directly after quoting a Taylor Swift song. So yeah, that's not the best call. But hey, I mean, maybe he has his moves, his motives. I don't fucking know. But the backlash has been building since Butker made the comment Saturday in an address to graduates at Benedictine College, a small Catholic school in Atchison, Kansas. So I will say here, it does kind of line up in terms of like how this guy winds up here. Like at first, when I first heard the headline, I was like, why would this guy say all this fucking shit and like land himself in this hot seat? And it's like, well, maybe he is just a passionate Catholic guy, who is, a top kicker. He's really good at his special team shit and, happens to be on a really good team and everything worked out. So awesome. And he is now at this Catholic college doing a commencement speech, and he's like, well, why not? Why not I just like go off and just say all the shit I really want to say here. And he really got into it. Let's see. But let's talk about what the NFL said first. The NFL issued a statement Wednesday saying Butker's comments don't reflect the views of the league. Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity. His views are not those of the NFL as an organization, said Senior Vice President Jonathan Bean, the league's chief diversity and inclusion officer. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger. Glad also issued a statement calling Butker's speech a clear miss and woefully out of step with Americans about pride, LGBTQ people, and women, which I definitely fucking agree with. Let's see here. The Chiefs really didn't say anything. They've been quiet on the beat, so whatever. I guess that makes sense ish. Whatever. Um, but Taylor Swift fans have definitely been in an uproar. But let's get to some of the shit that he said. I do want to actually pull some quotes from this. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you, he said. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. Butler also praised his wife Isabel, saying she would be the first to say her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. Yeah, but at least in the court of social opinion, I don't think that this has landed well. TikTok is eating his ass up. Let's see here. Women listen in the audience rather than being rewarded with a diploma on graduation day were made to listen as he promoted the role of homemaker, not as an acceptable choice, but as their duty as a husband servant. Let's see here. And that was just like a quote from actually columnist Sam McDowell. And it also didn't sit well with many people that Butker invoked Swift, the pop star who is dating Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce, and who is a frequent sight at Chief games this past season, including the Super Bowl. Let's see here. Butker likely became the first person in history to quote a Taylor Swift song while criticizing Catholic priests for catering too much to the feelings of their parishioners. As my teammate's girlfriend says, familiarity breeds contempt. Butker said at one point, quoting Swift's song, Bejeweled, and then there's a parentheses here, and by extension, a common turn of phrase. Essentially saying, you didn't have to quote Taylor Swift there. You could have just said familiarity breeds contempt, and everyone would have known what you were trying to fucking say here. You just, doubled down on it to try to make this point, and it's just, it's very annoying to do. And, I mean, who am I, an amateur podcaster, to say anything on a man's fucking speech? But it's dude, it's just annoying. No one wanted to hear this shit anyway, and it's it's that thing that people do anyway where it's hey, since I should be talking about Taylor Swift since I'm kind of associated by 6 degrees or whatever, I'm gonna make a Taylor Swift reference, and then you do it and then no one laughs and no one likes it. It doesn't, oh, you shook it off. No one likes that. And so this dude did this in a speech, and it's brother, people want to groan here. And hey, I also get it. I guess to play devil's advocate, I'm sure there are some trad wives in the crowd, maybe, that were okay, let him cook. And I also think maybe that he was playing this to maybe get a chance to maybe sit down at Fox News for a check or something like that. I don't know, get your bag, I guess, if that's your move. You're trying to make that Kid Rock money. I feel you. But yeah, I mean, I really think this kind of misses the mark in terms of someone who's at college. Even if you are at a Catholic college, I think at the end of the day, you're here for your degree. The last thing you want to hear is oh yeah, man, or yeah, lady, get ready for the kitchen, the place you're supposed to be. And then he has a bunch of other shit that he gets into as well that I kind of wanted to get into. They have it bulleted. Let me skim ahead here. Butker criticized President Joe Biden, who is Catholic, and other unnamed Catholic leaders for pushing dangerous gender ideologies onto the youth of America, an apparent reference to transgender rights, and a swipe at LGBTQ communities. Butker encouraged graduates to have Catholic pride, but not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it. Like, oh, okay, I wonder what you're alluding to, man. And Jesus Christ, if you weren't talking about Pride Month, but still, like, what the fuck, man? And that's so fucking weird. And honestly, I would just rather you say that shit with your chest if you're gonna be this piece of shit about it. You know what I mean? Let's see. Butker also waded into the DEI debate, saying the world around us says that we should keep our beliefs to ourselves whenever they go against the tyranny of diversity, equality, and inclusion. I love that. Like, because you're saying the words, right? And you're trying to dog whistle about DEI, right? But, like, what do you mean by the tyranny of diversity? Or the tyranny of equality? Or the tyranny of inclusion? Like, how are these things tyrannous, tyrannical? I'm sorry, like it just that in and of itself doesn't make sense. So obviously it's like, okay, whatever. But I do want to read a little further. In response to his comments about diversity, Tennessean reporter Andrea Williams pointed out Butker shares the field with Patrick Mahomes, who is considered one of the best players of his generation and is one of only a handful of black quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. Harrison Butker doesn't have the Super Bowl rings without Patrick Mahomes, she wrote. And without those Super Bowl rings, he doesn't have the aforementioned praise or platform, which I totally agree with. Like, motherfucker, you're on special teams. Shut the fuck up. Like, no one really wants to hear you. Like, at the end of the day, I going back to the college that invited him, the Benedictine College, I'm sure at the end of the day, they really didn't want the smoke. They just wanted to get a guy who was, like, perfectly in line with, like, what they are about. Like, we're a Catholic school. He's a Catholic guy. He's a Kansas City Chief player. Like, they just won a fucking Super Bowl. Like, it's perfect. And this dude was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking do tricks on it. I'm gonna go fucking insane. I'm gonna go freak mode for the Lord. Okay, all right, and you know, because I maybe don't like black people or something. I don't know. I gotta blow the whistle. Anyway, I found this shit interesting. I was gonna do a Patreon about it, and I just said, fuck it, let's just run it on main. Literally, the BBC is talking about this shit. So if the BBC talks about it, you know my fucking asses are gonna be chirping. Anyway, let's move on. I'm sorry. Let's talk more sports. More sports guys doing sports things. From ESPN, Scotty Scheffler arrested before PGA Championship Round 2. World number 2, or I'm sorry, my bad, leave respect on this man's name. World number 1 golfer Scotty Scheffler was arrested by Louisville Metro Police on Friday morning, God, I cannot talk. Friday morning, after trying to drive into the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club, the site of this week's PGA Championship. Traffic outside the golf course has been stopped after a man was struck and killed by a shuttle bus around 5 a.m. Let's see. Scheffler faces charges of second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. The assault charge is a felony. The others are misdemeanors. Excuse me. Major Jason Loxon of Louisville Metro Department of Corrections told ESPN that Scheffler was released at 8:40 a.m. ET Friday without bail. He arrived at Valhalla less than an hour before he was scheduled to tee off at 10:08 a.m. ET. Excuse me. This morning, I was proceeding as directed by police officers, Scheffler said in a statement. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that had occurred earlier, and there was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Of course, all of us involved in the tournament express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away in the earlier accident this morning. It truly puts everything in perspective. According to ESPN reporter Jeff Darlington, who witnessed the incident, Scheffler was trying to drive around the crash scene on a median. A police officer instructed Scheffler to stop, but Scheffler continued to drive about 10 to 20 yards towards the entrance. At one point, an officer attached himself, I like how they say attached himself, to the side of Scheffler's car. Scheffler stopped his car as he turned into the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club. After about 20 to 30 seconds, Scheffler rolled down his window to talk to the officer. The officer grabbed Scheffler's arm to pull him out of the vehicle, according to Darlington. The officer reached inside the vehicle to open the door, and once Scheffler was pulled out, he was pushed against the car and placed in handcuffs. Darlington was standing at the entrance when Scheffler was detained. Darlington said Scheffler turned to him and asked, "Can you help?" According to Darlington, an officer instructed him to back away. "You need to get out of the way," the officer told Darlington. "Right now, he's going to jail, and there's nothing you can do about it." I shouldn't laugh. Like, this is a real thing. A person died hours earlier, and now a man is getting arrested, and that's very stressful and dramatic. It fucking sucks. But, like, it also is one of those things where I'm kind of, like, looking at this once again as a third person and just, like, yeah, police fucking suck, dude. And, like, you thought, hey, I'm kind of, like, allowed to do this, because we'll get into it. Like, his lawyer guy, whatever, kind of tries to explain things. And he's like, yeah, I thought I was supposed to be able to do this, and I get that, like, there's a situation at hand, but I really wasn't maybe privy enough to it, and now you're fucking hassling me, and I'm, like, about to get yocked up by the goddamn cops. Yocked up. That's not a word. No one says that. I just made that up. Anyway, let's move a little further. He was going. Here we go. Scheffler's attorney Stephen Romanes told ESPN that the golfer attempted to enter Valhalla Golf Club as he had been instructed to earlier, unaware there had been a fatal wreck just up the road. He was going into Valhalla to work out, Romanes said. He was getting ready for his tee time. They were directing traffic. He held his credential out and was going in like they'd been instructed to. Apparently, there had been a traffic accident, maybe even a fatality down the road, and that changed the traffic patterns, and he was unaware of that. So essentially he's trying to, like, run and, defense here, saying, like, hey, he didn't know. He was just thought he could just put his little credentials out and just kind of keep going. But, I mean, at the same time, it seems like this wasn't the average guy who's supposed to be out here. I get maybe you don't know someone died. Okay, that's fine. But, like, you're not above what this cop is telling you to do in this situation. But at the same time, I've said this before too, it is crazy that cops act like this. Like, a person died, and I think we can get to it once we scroll down enough. The unidentified man was attempting to cross Shelbyville Road when he was struck in a dedicated lane for buses. Police say the man died at the scene. It's not like the situation is happening again. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you don't want this guy to, like, cause another incident or accident, but essentially this guy's authority is challenged, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna stitch onto this car like I'm a fucking super cop and handle justice right now. You didn't need to do that, brother. And I'm sure you got fucked up. They mentioned in this article or whatever his, the extent of his, his pain, swelling, abrasions to his left wrist, yada, yada, yada. Well, like, but this is just a situation of two dumb motherfuckers doing too much at the end of the day between Scheffler and the cop. That being said, this is like the number one golfer guy, and, this is a big PGA situation. So, of course, hay was made. And here I am talking about some sports stuff. So there we go. That's my 2 cents. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. A little bit of Supreme Court talk, but not the, actual in the courtroom. So honestly, I prefer it. From Reuters, Supreme Court Justice Alito's home flew U.S. flag upside down following January 6th, NYT. An American flag was photographed hanging upside down at the Virginia home of Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito in January of 2021, weeks after the January 6th protests, the New York Times reported on Thursday. It was not yet clear if the upside down flag was meant to signal support of former U.S. President Donald Trump. The Times reported. Alito told the paper that his wife hung the flag in response to signs in neighbors' yards. I had no involvement whatsoever in the flying of the flag, Alito told the Times in an emailed statement. It was briefly placed by Miss Alito in response to the neighbor's use of objectionable and personally insulting language on yard signs. So it's like, what do you mean? Are you saying like you felt under duress, so you needed to fly your flag upside down? Which I guess I should get into, right? According to the U.S. code for the flag should never be displayed upside down, except as a signal of dire distress and instances of extreme danger of life or property. So in essence, he's saying either there was a threat on his home, so my wife had to fly this flag upside down, or it's the dog whistle here of some Trump supporters displayed upside down American flags in support of Trump following the 2020 presidential election, the Times said. Something you actually don't need to fly your flag upside down for. There's no duress there. This man was trying to start a riot, and then guess what? That riot was stopped. So I don't really know what to tell you, dog. But whatever. Okay. This is a nothing burger. The story really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this guy is a justice, but it just fucking sucks because I always like to remind motherfuckers that these are the people who are supposed to be like these blind arbiters of justice that have leveled up in law so much and for so long, and it's like, okay, you're of the pedigree and caliber that you can judge without bias. Despite however you came up, you are here to help guide our country. Like that's how I've always interpreted what the Supreme Court's supposed to be. But truly, it's just like, no, like you play partisan, and it's like, guess what? Who's ever in power, and when you die, gets to replace you with the guy that they like, and that's gonna make all the difference. You're actually a piece, a cog, and you have to play a role. And I hate that these guys just do that. These guys and girls, whatever. Looking at you, Amy. But yeah, it is what it is. None of this really matters. Like you said, it was my wife. I don't care. I couldn't stop her. I don't know. Whatever, man. Let's move on to our last thing. From one judge to another. Actually, though, I do find this story interesting. I call it actually good news. Though, I mean, it will definitely start a riot in a lot of social forums and chats, maybe, on what's a sandwich and what's not. But let's take a little break, and we'll go ahead and finish it off. Ooh. Okay. From the Associated Press. Indiana judge opens door for new eatery, finding tacos and burritos are Mexican-style sandwiches. An Indiana judge who declared that tacos and burritos are Mexican-style sandwiches has cleared the way for opening of a new restaurant, delighting a restaurateur following a legal battle. Martin Quintana, 53, has been trying for about 3 years to open his second, the famous taco location in Fort Wayne, a city about 120 miles or 190 kilometers northeast of Indianapolis. But the initial written commitment for the development at a plaza Quintana owns limits the business to a sandwich bar style restaurant whose primary business is to sell made to order or Subway style sandwiches. Quintana said the nearby Covington Creek Association contacted him to say that his famous taco proposal somehow ran afoul of that commitment. He sued the Fort Wayne plan Commission in December of 2022 after it denied his proposal amendment that would specifically allow his restaurant to offer made to order tacos, burritos, and other Mexican style items, the Journal Gazette reported. Allen Superior Court Judge Craig Babay, and I say his whole name because I want you to look him up. I want you to look him up and see him. Look him in the eyes and understand that this is a judge maybe making the best decision that he can make with his understanding and life experiences. Anyway, let's continue. Ruled Monday that the plan commission acted correctly when it denied Quinton's proposed amendment. But the judge also found that his request was not needed, he found that the original commitment allows restaurants like the famous taco. So essentially, he's saying that sandwiches are tacos. The court agrees with Quintana that tacos and burritos are Mexican-style sandwiches, and the original written commitment does not restrict potential restaurants to only American cuisine-style sandwiches, Babay wrote. I don't know why I'm saying his name all funky. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I really hope that maybe Babay is kind of on his, like, King Solomon shit, and, like, this is him cutting the baby, saying, like, look, actually, you guys are right, and I see that you're trying to just jam this guy up and you don't want him to make tacos in your sandwich style area, and this is really stupid. So I'm just going to say that tacos are sandwiches. I really hope that that's the idea here, because let's just pause, hit the record. We know that tortas exist, right? Like, granted, I didn't always know this. I was in my mid-20s and I was on a date, and then I realized and someone taught me, like, hey, this is what a torta is, just so you understand and know they're amazing and delicious in their Mexican sandwiches. So it's like, cool, we've established this. If you want to debate me, by all means, you hit my DMs, you flood my fucking zone, and you tell me how I'm wrong here. But tacos are fucking tacos. Burritos are fucking burritos. You know what I mean? It's like, essentially, Quintana really just said, hey, I gotta shoot the needle here, and I gotta do the hot dogs are sandwiches, and so are tacos, actually. So just let me in. Let me in. And I respect it. I honestly fucking love it. I love that it worked out for him. I will actually quote him, just kind of ending it out here. That's a sandwich. That's bread. That's a sandwich, he said of tortas. We go through a lot of those. So essentially just saying, like, kind of tipping the hat, like, I know, like, I'm not dumb. But hey, if you got to make the argument, you got to make the argument. It's kind of like the guy who like, the initial Taco Tuesday guy. I forget where he's out of. I want to say it's like Philadelphia or something like that. But essentially, he wasn't the biggest taco guy, but he made a taco place, and it really blew up, and it blew up of Taco Tuesday. So he defended Taco Tuesday. Like, that was his fucking shit. Does he really give a fuck? No, but it's his brand. It's his shit. Like, it's his restaurant. And also, just once again, slinging back to the article, like, the area that he's going out of in Fort Wayne is, like, it's a big population. Like, it's a big area. I think it's like the second biggest, around populous city. With about 270,000 residents. So obviously this is like prime real estate, and they're trying to deny him because he's not making the thing they like. And it's like, it's good food. If it's good food, let him make it. That's really why, to me, this is good news at the end of the day. Obviously, it's a stupid argument to me. I think it's very dumb. But hey, if it kills some time on social media, by all means, go off with that discourse. I get it. But hey, that's it. That's really all we have for today. Let's see. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/news. Let's see. Free ways to contact me, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on the socials, and subscribe to the YouTube. Leave a like or leave a cool comment, or I guess I should say, if you're listening on another app, leave all the stars, and either way, sharing is caring if you'd like. And no matter what, thanks so much for listening, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.